Hello, and how are you doing today? I am your host, Cameron Sadeghi, on the Cameron Sadeghi Show, here with you. Week 11 of the NFL season, almost to its conclusion. This Sunday had some very, very special games today. I will let you give your thoughts on the program. I'll let you tweet. I put the number on the comment board. You can go on the comment board if you click the little green bubble, and you can give me your thoughts on what occurred in this Week 11 Sunday edition of the program. Alright, so, as promised, all the overtime games. I mean, oh my goodness, Week 11, there was almost a game that was going to go in a tie. Alright, that's how crazy of a week this was. I thought we were going to have 2 tied games in this entire year. 2. In fact, we didn't. And yes, oh yes, we had 3 overtime games, and the Cleveland Browns were in one. The Jacksonville Jaguars were in one. And, oh yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Will even tell you what a famous play-by-play announcer, he made a mistake in overtime. I'll tell you why and what happened and all that. Also, we had some blowouts, too, in the late afternoon session. The New England Patriots, they almost go for 60 points. They were just 1 point short today. They scored 59. I'll talk about that more. Sorry for the voice crack. We'll talk about the New Orleans Saints today against the Oakland Raiders. We'll discuss what occurred today between the San Diego Chargers and the Denver Broncos. That division series on the line. I'll explain what happened today at Sports Authority Field in Denver. But before we even get to that, I have to get to some scores that you need to know excuse me, for this Week 11 season. Yes, the Atlanta Falcons, hang on. Matt Ryan had an atrocious day, 5 interceptions. That doesn't matter, all because he wins, and he wins again. 23-19. Cleveland and Dallas, the other overtime game today. Dallas was fighting and scrapping their way in the fourth quarter, but they hang on to beat the Cleveland Browns 23-20. In the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers squared off to face their foe in Motown, and they beat the team in Motown, the Lions, who have been struggling. They win, yes, the Pack, 24-20. The Cincinnati Bengals going into Arrowhead today, easy victory, 28-6. Oh, the Jets and the Rams. The Rams at home, and a lot of people thinking they were going to beat the Jets today, but I guess for 1 week, Rex and the Jets can silence the critics. They win 27-13. Washington and Philadelphia. If Philadelphia season could get any worse, I think it just has. Nick Foles had a terrible day, as well as the defense. On the other hand, Robert Griffin III had a career day. They put up 31 points against the Philadelphia Eagles. They win 31-6. Also, another game in overtime. Yes, that famous announcer, Chris Myers, he botched a call today. I'll explain that. But all you need to really know is that the Buccaneers beat the Panthers in a comeback, 27-21 in overtime. Moving along to the, yes, possibly the game of the week. Wait, the Jacksonville Jaguars? The game of the week? Yes, against the Houston Texans? You are correct. 43-37, the Houston Texans win in a shootout. Blaine Gabbert gets injured. Chad Henne looks like Tom Brady, but the Jags still lose. I'll explain that later on in the program. Another game. This one kind of a shootout, but really one-sided. In Oaktown, the Raiders lose big time against the Saints, 38-17. And yes, the New England Patriots, they win big time the second game in the late afternoon session. 59-24, New England Patriots. And the game that what I was going to talk about on the program, the San Diego Chargers lose again, this time by 7, 30-23. Alright, so, as I was going to say, we're going to talk about the overtime games. And one of them was, oh yes, the 2-7 Cleveland Browns go into Arlington, Texas, against the 4-5 Dallas Cowboys. And it was all Cleveland Browns in the first half. They were leading 13-0 at halftime, everybody. Yes, the Cleveland Browns. Brandon Weeden threw a 10-yard touchdown pass to former New England Patriot former New England Patriot Ben Watson. And then Phil Dawson hit a pair of field goals, one for 51 and one for 37 in the second quarter. And then the third quarter, the Dallas Cowboys, Dan Bailey knocking down the 44-yarder. And then in the fourth quarter, that's when things changed. Felix Jones, 2-yard touchdown. Then Dez Bryant, 28-yard connection with Tony Romo. And then the Cleveland Browns score once again. Ben Watson, another touchdown, a second of the day from Brandon Weeden. And then the Cowboys, Dan Bailey, knocking down his second field goal of the day. Then in overtime, Dan Bailey hits his third. The most important third is the lucky charm there in Arlington, Texas. So, the Cleveland Browns, everybody, just to throw out a stat, they almost won this football game They almost won this football game, and they committed 12 penalties for 129 yards. Cleveland Browns almost won. Okay? Unbelievable how the Cleveland Browns running the football. 119 yards on the ground. I saw that game, and I mean, Cleveland took it to Dallas. Trent Richardson pounded them in the mouth. Punched them in the mouth. Literally. I mean, that Cleveland Brown offensive line was dominating that defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys until the second half. And that concerns me in regards to Dallas. You have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL remaining, and you almost lose to the Cleveland Browns because you give up 119 yards on the ground. You turn over the football. Your third down efficiency isn't that great. That concerns me. When they face a team better than the Cleveland Browns, which is in the future, and they can't put up a complete game and they just show up for one half of football, I don't think they'll come out with a victory. And unfortunately for Dallas, they are in big trouble. They've got to win out, in my opinion. They've got to either win out or lose one in order to get into the playoffs. It is very cutthroat and tight in the NFC. So many great teams in the NFC. They're not going to win that division in my mind. I think, well, I don't know. It's tough. No, they're not going to win that division. The Giants will. But you cannot, and yet again, you cannot go in it. And this was at home, too, with all the fans cheering. It was a full house, and you can't get the victory. I mean, you can get the victory, but not convincingly. That's disappointing. And Dallas is, look, people are saying Jason Garrett's job's on the line. I think that's a fair assessment right there. Because you cannot, I mean, offensively, you cannot go in one half of football with Tony Romo and not get a touchdown. That's seemingly ridiculous. I mean, against the Cleveland Browns. Look, God bless the Cleveland Browns, but they're not any way or shape or form even close to the playoffs. And you can't get anything to go in the first half. That was pretty scary for Cowboys fans. And unfortunately for the Cowboys, they don't fix this up. They could, be eliminated and not have an opportunity for the playoffs. Because you got to win these games by wide margins. You can't put yourself in a situation where it could go either way. Because when they do put themselves in a situation like this, it does go the other way. And you know what? If they do, it might. Ball bounces one way, ball bounces the other way. Who knows what can happen? So be very careful, Dallas. You are so close in putting yourself in complete danger. Watch out. Okay, the other overtime game. The crazy one. The one that shocked the entire, not just the football world, but the sports world. The Houston Texans, everybody, entered into this football game at home, nice weather, at Reliant Stadium with a healthy Matt Schaub, Arian Foster, great defense, and Andre Johnson. Okay? But they're facing the Jaguars. Okay, Texans were 8-1 entering in this. Flip that around for the Jaguars. Their record was 1-8, everybody. 1-8 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, no business being in this football game. And guess what? Chad Henne got into this football game due to an injury of Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert gets injured early in this football game, and the Jacksonville Jaguars played lights out today. Chad Henne, guess how many yards he threw today? You want to know? I'll tell you. 354 yards. 354 yards for a backup quarterback. And then Houston, Matt Schaub played amazing. Look, the offense today for Houston played spectacular. But the Houston's defense looked like it was one of those defenses they had in previous years where it was absolutely nauseating to watch. And that's what it was for the Houston Texans. Okay? And look, maybe it's because, yes, okay, I understand that they probably didn't prepare for Chad Henne coming in that football game, but I think the Houston Texans have finally learned that no matter who enters that football game, you got to prepare for every single quarterback, because it really showed in the preparation they had, or the lack thereof, for Chad Henne, because they didn't even know any of his tendencies whatsoever. I mean, Chad Henne just kept going deep to Justin Blackmon most of that football game. And they could not stop it. Okay? Jackson, you know what's interesting too? Jackson